Welcome back to the Rogue Wave Podcast. We are talking D23. We talked about the Marvel releases, but now we are talking about the Lucasfilm. So it wasn't just Marvel, it was Lucasfilm dropped a ton of new stuff that's out there. So that's pretty cool. That includes Star Wars Universe, Willow, which is another, it's one of those like, oh yeah, Willow, that's part of the same, kind of docket that George Lucas was spearheading way back when. And finally, Indiana Jones. And I got to tell you, out of all of the announcements in terms of like Marvel versus Lucasfilm, I feel like Lucasfilm was more of the talk of the weekend. And if I had to pick one winner for who won the weekend, I would say it's Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. Only because all the stuff that Star Wars is doing, when you're streaming versus like dropping a big film, I do think there's a diminishing return on excitement level because you're going to be getting a different viewing experience. You're going to be getting a different, impact. Whereas a movie, I think, can have a greater impact, and a
I
TV
feel
show
like I
can
just
have a
said
greater
that.
impact, but it's got to be set up in a way that's going to really, hit you. I see you shaking your head, agreeing with
I
me
kind of
as
feel like
as general.
I'm saying I just said that. I
When did
just
you just
said
say that?
there's always going to be a variable return on all these things because you can't have the same experience twice.
No, but I'm talking about just specifically versus like a TV show storytelling versus movie storytelling. So yes, there are varying degrees, but I'm saying I think that in terms of impact, going to see Indiana Jones 5 is going to be a greater impact to me than almost any Star Wars,
Yeah, but
except maybe Mandalorian season 3. Now I'm very curious about season 3 of
that
Mandalorian.
tells us that's what confuses me about these segments because that's a very subjective thing. I
Yes,
certainly wouldn't be able to say
our
the
entire
same
show is
thing about
subjective.
that. All right
Our
then.
entire show is subjective.
Okay.
I mean, that's essentially what it's all about. Um, I would
Right.
sit there and say the idea. So one of the things though that they said at the Indiana Jones part of the panel, whatever, or the Indiana Jones panel, in addition to releasing footage, which apparently the internet seemed to like from the reactions I read about, is the fact that it is going to be the last time Harrison Ford suits up. And I think it has to be. I mean, he's almost 80 years old at this point. There's just there's only so much unless we use that digital technology, like the Avatar digital technology to you know, age him. I just don't know how he could do anymore. It just from a physical standpoint, and still maintain what we've the previous physicality to the Indiana Jones movies. Um, if you were in charge of the Indiana Jones franchise, would you then recast? Now knowing that he's now declared this is the end, and most likely just based on age, it probably is.
If I
Or
was in
would you?
charge of it, yeah, I probably would recast it because I want money. But would it be a good idea to do it? Probably not.
But would you recast, or would you simply maybe because that's the beauty of where the film chronology takes place. I feel like you could mine the 60s, 70s, and 80s with his son, which could easily be recast because we don't need Shia LaBeouf there. Or maybe Indiana Jones 5 has some sort of passing of the torch to somebody.
Well, if they
That
could
that
do that, I mean, if they were able to successfully do that, then sure, I would keep it going. But a lot of people are talking about just recasting Harrison Ford and then
Chris
going back
Pratt's
to
name
the.
has come up.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's a terrible idea.
I
Chris
feel like
Pratt
he could
is
pull it off.
Chris. Everybody, you know why people say that? Because he looks like him. But there's a
Yes,
lot more to being a person than looking like a person, right?
yes,
A lot of
agreed.
the Indiana Jones stuff is his personality, it's the way he reacts to things, it's his attitude about things. And Chris Pratt don't got that. I like Chris Pratt, but he don't got that Harrison Ford uh, swagger, I suppose, is the best way to
What would
put
be
it.
amazing if they cast Alden Ehrenreich. Ehrenreich.
That's another reason, right? That the reception of that was so poor. I don't know why people keep speculating them doing it again with the same actor.
Yeah.
It's kind of nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, it would. That would be epic. I just would love. I mean, I would love it. I mean, I would just love the irony of all that.
That's a lot of money and a long way to go just to satisfy a practical joke on your part, though. So
this is why I can't
they
be
should do
studio.
it. I don't.
In fact, if I was hired tomorrow, that would be my first order of business.
And that would be your last order of business, also. Especially as a reserve.
I would go out on all cylinders at that point, though. Because when you
crash the Wall Street market on cinematic enterprises, you'll be out of there pretty quick. That'll be the quickest tenure in Lucasfilm history.
Could be, or the greatest decision known to man. It could be that too.
I can't
Did you ever
see
think
that
that's
happening.
possible?
I can't see it. I mean, the idea of doing that tanked it was the first time it tanked a Star Wars movie. It was the first flop of a Star Wars movie, and people are still speculating.
And it's a good movie, though.
It's a great movie.
But nobody,
movie. I don't think anyone was interested in seeing Han Solo that wasn't Harrison Ford.
If Last Jedi doesn't come out, though, and it doesn't come out, I don't know, 4 months earlier, 5 months earlier, I think it has a completely different reception.
There are a lot of extenuating circumstances as to why that movie did poorly. Yes, but the bottom line is it did do poorly, and that was the only time they recast one of the primary. That's why they're doubling and tripling down on that deepfake stuff for Luke Skywalker instead of just hiring what's his name, Winter Soldier, which everyone thinks looks just like him. It's like, no, and he doesn't. The other thing is, I don't think Chris Pratt's going to want to be.
He wants to. No, he wants to. From the interviews I've heard, the interviews I've read,
the ones I've read, he said, "No, I don't want to go anywhere near it," because he knows that's just going to be hot button.
Yeah,
that's all it is. There's never going to be a moment where he's going to be taken seriously on his own. It's not. It's like Lazenby, like the first the first James Bond after Sean Connery. It's like no, this is not going to work. He's not Sean Connery. I mean, it took a long time for Roger Moore to get to the level where he is yet another James Bond, and then it started a precedent.
Right.
And a lot of Roger Moore's movies, Roger Moore didn't find his stride until his movies started to become parodies of James Bond movies. Because if you watch those last few, for Your Eyes Only and Octopussy and A View to a Kill, they're kind of jokes. They're kind of comedies.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't until you got Timothy Dalton. Dalton got 2 movies, and people were like, hell no, And then then they brought in Pierce Brosnan.
Fantastic James Bond.
Yeah, because everybody, he had cachet. Everybody loved Pierce Brosnan already.
Yeah.
So they were like, this is perfect. Same with
Daniel
Daniel
Craig. He also kind of played a
Craig.
James Bond in Thomas Crown Affair, so they kind of,
in its own way, yeah.
You got a sample of that. The only
Roger Moore played the Saint, which was also kind of James Bond.
Yeah.
So, and that's still, I mean, he's probably the next most successful James Bond, lengthwise, to Sean Connery. So, but look at all the stuff that you have to do in order to be able to land that role. So I don't think anybody who plays the next Indiana Jones is going to be in for a fun ride. They're going to be like the new Jar Jar Binks if they just don't do it well. Alden Ehrenreich had the benefit of being in a Star Wars movie with Emilia Clarke, with Lando, with Woody Harrelson of all people. You had the cachet of Chewbacca, you had the Empire, you had classic trilogy aesthetics, and it still didn't work. He still couldn't carry it himself. So I don't know why.
I'd like to see them try again.
Of course, so would I. But money. Maybe that'll be the good thing about you running Lucasfilm. At least we'll get a sequel to Solo before they.
I will hire the Harrison Ford lookalike that Aaron just cued us into. There's a Anthony Ingruber.
It's not about looking like him. It's about acting like him. That's more important than the looks.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it goes a long way sometimes.
Obviously not. Alden Ehrenreich is not a bad looking guy. You know?
Oh no, he's a good like stunt double, like look-alike. You know what I mean? Like you go, okay, I can see that guy standing in for Harrison Ford, but he's not Harrison Ford. You know. We'll see. Oh, Aaron says the look-alike played the young Harrison Ford in Age of Adeline. We'll see. We will see. All right. If you had to pick between Disney and Lucasfilm, any of the announcements, any of the things that were shown, which property in your mind won the weekend? And it could be for whatever reason. It's whatever you think, won the weekend. I already said Indiana Jones. I think Indiana Jones.
I'm not looking for Indiana Jones because Mangold's doing it. Mangold's following the Logan template.
You didn't like Logan, huh?
To the letter. Logan's a great movie. I don't like any movie where the hero dies at the end. Sorry, that's just one of my personal quirks. That's not a favorite thing of mine. Excuse me, spoiler for a movie that's almost 10 years old now. And I'm almost certain that same thing is going to happen with Indiana.
I don't want to see Indiana Jones die. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to see him die.
That's a Mangold thing.
Okay.
And they've narrowed it down. The last movie in the Wolverine franchise, it went for X-Men, Wolverine, X-Men Origins, right? To the Wolverine, to Logan, right? So they in the Indiana Jones franchise, they dropped all the pretentious secondary titles, and it's just Indiana Jones. That's the name of the movie. So I'm pretty sure that
Harrison Ford will get his wish, though, because I remember back in the 80s, he wanted to kill off Han Solo.
He wanted to kill Han Solo. I think he loves Indiana Jones. So that's the only thing that we have. That's the only thing we have going for us, is that he might object to the character being killed at the end. I think it would be a bad way to end it, to kill him off and then, force a Shia LaBeouf lookalike on us. Like, yeah, this is the next one. You got to deal with it. I don't think that would work out.
You can easily recast Shia LaBeouf. No one would object.
I'm saying just for the end of a franchise. Like if you're going to do a fifth installment, you want that to resonate, right? Because you see what happened with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But that doesn't mean anything because they love to double down on that stuff, right? Because people kind of objected to Force Awakens, to Harrison Ford being killed off in Force Awakens. Yeah. But then that was the only downside. That was the only negative about a $2 billion movie. You can't say that movie was unsuccessful. It's a $2 billion movie. So what did they do? The next thing they do is like, okay, now we'll kill Luke. And you see, that didn't do so well, right? People are like, all right, stop it. That's and true. Then they lingered on it so long that they had to kill Carrie Fisher off in such in the worst way humanly possible. It was just it was immaculately stupid, what they did with that. So, I mean, look, these franchises can be mishandled. We've witnessed them mishandled quite a bit. So I'm very much interested in Andor, if anything. That won the weekend for me because it's like that's coming right up.
Coming next week.
Get to see it. Yeah, I'm going to get to see it. I'm going to get to watch it. It's done by the same people who did Rogue One, so it's got the same smarts behind it that I would say a lot of the other Disney Plus Star Wars series do not have. They lean very heavily on nostalgia or whatever, but they don't really lean into the aesthetics of Star Wars the way Rogue One did. Rogue One, I think, was a much better grace note to the nostalgia of the original trilogy than, say, The Force Awakens, which just went for everything on the nose. So
it's a great selection, and I like that you chose the title with Rogue in it. Rogue One, Andor. It's good. It's good little company synergy. I like that. What did you guys think?
That's totally why I did it.
You sellout, you. What did you guys think? Who won the weekend for you? What did you think of D23 in general? And next week we will be in studio together, guaranteed, next week to talk about Andor and talk about Until I Die #4, which drops on the website as well too, which is my favorite. I have series on roguematter.com, and I actually like Until I Die better than my own work. So that's how much I enjoy that series. We will catch you guys next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wav Podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of the... Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wav Podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wav Podcast.